away from the World Junior Championship, and it feels close. I'm not going to lie. Although there was a little bit of a gong show that went on, seems like most of the teams are in the great city of Edmonton. Hey, what's up? It's Cody Jansen. We'll Talk Your Port Live, coming to you on 12 Ounce Sports. Happy Monday. We're going to start off the week on a good note. As always, we got the man himself, Matt Stajan. Yes, that's right, the Matt Stajan, longtime NHLer. He's going to hop on the show here in about, 10 minutes or so. We'll get him on, dive in, great flame, great leaf, awesome guy, awesome stories. Of course, he went over to Europe for a bit, so yes, we are going to dig into that. We got a lot more to get into. Braden Holtby, wow. Vancouver Canucks fans blowing up Twitter once again. What's new? We'll dive into that a little bit. The World Junior Nightmare. And again, I don't mean to be too harsh on the IIHF, but you gotta be kidding me. They're gonna cheap out yet again, and it causes problems for most of the European teams. That's a joke. Yeah, you'd be kidding yourself if you don't think I'm gonna be talking about that. The IIHF, one, they let every team down by how they actually planned this tournament, and two, they almost dropped the ball on getting the players here. They cheaped out on airplanes. They tried to put the players too close. Who planned this? Who's going to take responsibility? And I don't care. You can be like, oh, Renee Fassel has COVID. Whatever. Someone's got to plan this. Someone's got to do better. If you want to say safety is the top of mind, you have to prove it. Actions speak louder than words. Do something proper for once. Think of the players. Think of the coaches. Think of the media. Do it right. Don't cheap out. Don't cheap out just because you know there's not going to be fans. Do it right this year. They make hand over fist year after year on this tournament. And now you're going to try and fit kids 3 per row. You're going to try and make them sit with their hockey bags, the luggage all packed, just to save some money? Give your head a shake, IIHF. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for the sport of hockey that even came into consideration. It is. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. It's the IIHF trying to save money. I get it. You can put a couple of teams on the same plane if it's safe to do so. If you can distance them properly, safely. Think about the players here. And it doesn't matter where you stand on COVID, if you're afraid of it, if you think it's a hoax, none of that matters. What matters is that the IIHF does the right thing and they let everyone down. All of those players sitting in the airport, thankfully they're over here. Thankfully they did it right. It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the sport that we even have to talk about it right now. As always, shout out to everyone watching Zingo TV channel 761. Use promo code 12OZ when signing up for Zingo. Absolutely free. Tons to get to on the show. Follow us on Twitter at World Hockey RPT. Connect with us there. We're watching the show. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are. Appreciate you tuning in. Cody Jansen. Follow me on Twitter at Janet31. Lots to get into. And hey, quick update from Pierre LeBrun here from TSN. NHL and NHLPA went non-stop all week and it continued Monday, going back and forth on season protocols, transition rules, critical dates. The hope is to have it wrapped up over the next few days to set up a vote on each side by the end of the week. But as we saw in June, these things can drag out. We're creeping along. We're less than a month away from this January 13th start date, which is hoped. You get a lot of positive, thoughts when you think about guys like, oh, Joe Thornton, he's ditching his Swiss League team. He's coming over to Toronto. So you really think that they're going to be putting a pen to paper soon. The one thing I keep hearing from everyone I'm talking to, a couple of close sources as well, is that one of the big issues, actually, and surprising, is trades and signings. How is this going to work? Are they going to allow trades? How are quarantine measures going to work with this? American League teams, Farm League teams, I know they're going to do an expanded roster. That's obvious. But if the AHL doesn't start up until February at the earliest, what's going to be the plan? You got a whole division in California. California doesn't seem to have too much interest in playing with fans anytime soon. So, we'll see where that goes. As I said, you know what? They've been talks of a press conference coming up on Wednesday. We're going to wait and see. That seems pretty quick now. That's less than 48 hours away. But I did want to dive into a lot of other things, including this piece on the score. Todd McClellan saying the Kings have finished their rebuild. This was Adam freaking out on Twitter, by the way, not me, but I got my own 2 cents and I wanted to share it on the show. Todd McClellan saying the Kings are finished with their rebuild. I'll say that again. I just want you to think about this. Give it a second. The LA Kings are finished with their rebuild according to Todd McClellan. Finished. They are missing so many pieces. Is Cal Peterson their guy? Did they have anyone remotely close to being on the... Like, I mean, you can look at some... They got some decent prospects, don't get me wrong. But to say you're finished a rebuild? That's whack. That's whack. They think they're contenders right now with this roster they've got? They're not even close to San Jose. Give me a break. Todd McClellan. Delusional land. Put him on there. Healthy scratch of the week. Bench him. Do what you gotta. That's a dumb take. Also, Vancouver fans. These are the ones we probably should be benching. I mean, Vancouver fans are just notorious for being whack, if I can put it. I mean, they're crazy. They're wild. They hate everything. They just want to riot. They just want to protest. They don't want to make actual progress. They just want to be pissed off all day, pout, do whiny things like typical Canucks fans. And hey, if you're mad at Braden Holtby for having a totem on his totem pole on his helmet, which I believe it was, you got to rethink it here. And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, now that, that makes sense, we're going to swing it this way. We wish that, it would have been an indigenous artist that used it. That's the first argument you make. All right. I understand it. Was there any indigenous artist that reached out to him? Said, hey, I want to do this on your helmet. I want to, let's do this the right way. Support an indigenous artist, painter, whatever it is. Did they reach out? Did anyone pitch the idea? If not, don't complain. Don't complain because someone beat you to it and now you think you can profit off of it. Don't give me that. Don't talk about them profiting off these names. I mean, Cleveland's changing their names. Are the Chicago Blackhawks going to be next? Because if that's the case, then what are we doing here? If everything they've said is, hey, this was named off of a sign of respect. This was signed off by chiefs, by tribes. And hey, I'm just a white male. I probably don't have the voice and I shouldn't be accredited with discussing this, but from everything that's been said with the history and the tradition, if people are furious about it, you know what? If people are truly offended, if there is good reason for that, I get it. Change the name. If it's the Chicago Blackhawks who have proven time and time again that they are going to defend their name, they're going to defend that they made the right choice by naming their team that, by keeping their name that, I think you got to respect that too. There's no point in just being mad because you can. You don't need to be a social justice warrior in every single issue. Take the night off. Give it a break. Canucks fans, yes, you pissed me off this week. That's annoying. They're just ruthless. You see everyone, and even people with names, people with legitimate media jobs taking shots at Braden Holtby's wife. Are you kidding me? Are you that stupid? That's embarrassing. And I don't care. I mean, I don't want to call out media outlets here, but if your writers, your broadcasters are taking it that far to the point of calling out Holtby's wife, and that makes fans and other people jump on top of her, continue on this nonsense, you're a scumbag. You're part of the problem. That's where I'll stand with that. On to something brighter, though. Hey, we are... Quick math. 11 days away from World Juniors. 11 days away from Russia probably kicking the Americans' teeth in on Christmas Day. That'll be fun to watch. Shout out, Jack. I think you're delusional if you think that they got a chance in this one. Don't see that happening. But it's Christmas Day hockey. I'm not going to complain. That's awesome. Hey, I know that they got to quarantine and do retests right now. Honestly, I mean, positive thoughts. Let's just hope that, all these tests come back negative. Yeah, negative, positive. I'm like Michael Scott with that. I kind of forget. I'm like, is negative good? Is positive good? Negative's good. Negatives. That's what a funny show. I can't believe it's coming off Netflix in January in Canada. That's heartbreaking. What are we going to do now? Parks and Rec? I guess that's not even on Netflix either. It's like Amazon Prime, I believe. Great show, by the way. Great show. Alrighty. Yeah, we do got hockey coming up. Big yes, as I said, Stajan coming on this show. What's your favorite Matt Stajan moment? He played 1,000 games. Couple of big OT goals. He scored for the Leafs. We tweeted that one out. Scored for the Flames. I think that was a series clincher against Vancouver. We might as well just keep dancing on Canucks fans right here. What a guy. There's so much to talk about. It's Matt Stajan. He's coming up next. It's World Hockey Report. Cody Jansen with you. Of course, be sure support mybookie.ag. Use promo code 12OZ Sports. Help them out. They're great guys as well. They're great. They've helped us out. They support us all season. Hey, that's what makes this thing tick, is sponsors like Coco Vodka, Verbero Hockey, 2D Wrap, Tub Masks, WNP, 12-ounce sports. All those guys make it tick. We're still in off-season mode, but we got a legend. We got a heavy hitter coming up. We got an absolute beauty, over 1,000 games in the league. It's Matt Stajan right here after the commercial break on World Hockey Report.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Hey guys, Glenn Metropolitan here with Verbero Hockey, NHL alumni, 22 years professional hockey. I'm here to talk about the Merc 350, the lightest stick on the market. I've been using it for a couple months now. So impressed by the balance, the weight of it. The blade is very stiff, great feel, low kick point on the shaft. Consistency is amazing. Comparing it to all my other sticks that I use in my pro career, this would be one that I'd be very confident with going into a game. Give it a shot if you get a chance. Take care.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
Pleased to be joined now. 15 seasons in the National League, over 1,000 games, over 400 points, and he's a Belleville legend. Matt Stajan, buddy, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem at all. Appreciate you taking the time here. Obviously, still in a weird situation. You kind of thought, you're like, oh, maybe this will blow over in summer. Yeah, it really hasn't. So, no, I appreciate, you finding some time in, we're still kind of quarantined, however you want to go about it. Let's dive into your hockey career, though, Matt. Were you always just nasty at hockey growing up? Like, when did you kind of realize, like, hey, I'm pretty good at this?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was ever a tough guy growing up. I was, probably, when I was young, I was one of the top guys on my team for sure, and but never the best player. So I kind of was always playing AAA growing up. I did have I was a small kid. So once hitting started, which when I was young was minor peewee, I was really little. So I did have some trouble staying at the AAA level and was getting cut from teams and dealt with that adversity at a young age, which now that I'm older, I look back, it really helped me mentally be stronger. But I had to work my way, and even through Bantam and minor midget, I never got drafted to OHL in my first eligible draft year, and there was 20 rounds to get drafted. So I actually got drafted the year after, which was a year later than most guys, after playing a year of midget. And, I was kind of a late bloomer in that sense. So, I don't think I was really coming in. I kind of came off the radar for everybody, even in junior hockey. And after playing a year of junior hockey and getting some confidence, the next year I kind of took off and kind of filled into my body and was able to never kind of look back and kind of go with the confidence I had right into getting drafted in the second round of the NHL.
When did you really think, though, that the NHL was a reality, though? Like, was it like when you were drafted? Was it when you're putting up over a point per game in major juniors and you're like, hey, you know what, I'm ready for another level?
Yeah, so I was kind of fortunate. I'm a late birthday, so I'm born in December, so my draft year gets pushed a year to the NHL. And because I got drafted later to the OHL, I missed my underage year. So I couldn't play my underage year in the OHL. And so I was playing just regular, I wasn't the year after an underage year. So I had a year before my NHL draft still to kind of feel my way, because I wouldn't have got drafted if that was my draft year to the NHL. So that next year I kind of just broke out. I was playing with two of the top point getters, two overagers in junior, Michael Renzi and Nathan Robinson, and they were top 5 in league scoring. I was their centerman. So, I just kind of was able to build a lot of confidence, and they were both fast skaters, but, I really was able to basically get confident and grow into my skill, and that's when I kind of went onto the radar to get drafted to the NHL. So it wasn't like when I got to I think in junior, every single player on my team thinks they're going to be in the NHL, thinks they're going to get drafted, has that dream. But the reality is only one or two guys, if you're lucky, get drafted from your team each year. So, it's something I pushed for and hoped for, but I just kind of gained the confidence and always believed in myself and kind of continued to grow as a player. I didn't really flatline at all. I was just on an upward trajectory and into my draft year and kept getting better and better and was able to be an elite player in junior, which you have to be if you want to get drafted.
Well, I think one of the most, impressive parts of your career is you only spend 1 year in the minors, and that's the lockout year, right? So that's pretty impressive there. We will get into NHL stuff, though. I got to ask, though, 03 World Juniors. I know it sucks. You end up with a silver, right? That Russian team was just they were just a consistent team, right? They didn't have any crazy standouts by any means. But I mean, you got to play with some pretty good players yourself. I mean, Kolyakov, did he lead the tournament that year as a defenseman in points?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, he's one of my best friends. He led the team in score. I think he got best defender in the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. But we had a well-rounded team. A lot of guys had great careers, but it was definitely such a great experience. Just to play in that tournament in Canada, against other best players in the world of your age. It's just a confidence booster for any player, and especially me coming out of nowhere to make that team. I was kind of, I made it as the 13th forward, and that's one thing as a young guy. I really had to deal with a lot of adversity with making teams and proving people wrong at a young age. So that really helped me as I got older to learn to deal with the ups and downs of a career.
Oh, I bet it was unreal playing in Canada, World Juniors. You were wearing that crest. That's definitely a pretty cool moment for you. I got to ask, though, your first NHL game, is it true you scored in it?
Yeah, it was
Walk me through it.
Week. Yeah, it was a crazy week. I played in 3 leagues in the span of 5 days to start my career. So I finished my OHL career losing in Game 7, the first round against St. Mike's. So obviously, the emotions of that, your junior career is coming to an end. And 2 days later, I signed my first NHL contract and was on a flight to St. John's to play with the Baby Leafs on the Friday night. and played in that game. And then the next night I was, I didn't know it at the time, but I woke up the next morning in St. John's with a message on my hotel room phone saying you have a flight midday to go to Toronto. You're going to get your first NHL game tonight, because the Leafs had clinched the playoff spot and the game didn't mean anything. So a lot of the veterans were taking the night off, which was lucky for me. I got my opportunity. So before you know it, I was playing in the NHL on hockey night against Ottawa. I was 19 and scored. So that was quite the week, and playing that game definitely set up, giving me the confidence to go into the next season with the belief that I can make it to the NHL at a young age, and I was able to do that. And that week definitely helped me mentally, show myself and believe that I can do this. So I worked my butt off that summer, and the next training camp I was able to make the Maple Leafs team at a young age.
Who'd you score on? Like, how was it? Was it a greasy goal? Was it off your ass, or was it something you dangled?
It was pretty greasy. I lost the face-off clean in the neutral zone, and I pushed through as a centerman. That was the system we were playing. You don't see that very often anymore, but I pushed through to kind of force the D to go D to D, and Chris Phillips actually stand on his pass to his D partner. So I kind of went right through the D on a partial break and split it 5-hole on Martin Prusek was playing that night for Ottawa. So it was half greasy, half, I'll say, opportunistic, but it was a special memory. And it was in Toronto where I grew up. I had family, there to celebrate with me after. We couldn't get everybody tickets because it's Toronto, but it was just a special night for myself, and one of the most memorable for sure.
That's unreal. Yeah, you're not paying for tickets on your entry-level deal there for the whole family at least. Hey, what was it like playing for Pat Quinn?
He was awesome. He was just, everybody knows Pat Quinn from afar, and just the legacy he has. But getting to know him and the way he treated the players, we were one big family. He really preached family, and he made the dressing room like that. And he was a great motivator, but also he brought me in as a young guy when at that time young guys weren't as prevalent in the league, especially Pat Quinn teams. So I was probably one of the first younger guys he took on at that time. I know with the Leafs I was the youngest guy my first year by about 4 or 5 years, and he really put me in situations to succeed, and I do feel very fortunate that he gave me the opportunity, and we had a great bond. So I'm thankful for what he's done for me, but just everything he's done for the game of hockey, and even just for people in general. He's just a great person and a great role model for me to look up to as a young guy coming into the league to see what the values and things that are needed for a team to be successful.
One of the greatest to ever do it. Who took you under their wing? Who was one of the players who you really got to learn from or helped you out when you first made the jump into the NHL?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. There were so many guys. I was so fortunate. If you look at that roster in my first year, there was probably like 6 or 7 Hall of Famers on the team that I could just kind of watch and it's not just talking to these guys every day, but just watching and seeing the way they present themselves, the way they do things, to play for a long time at a high level, and what they need to do to play into their late 30s at that time. It was just incredible. But I got to room with Joe Nieuwendyk all year, so that was incredible. Just learning from him, talking to him, on the road. But I had Gary Roberts there to learn things from. Brian McCabe and Darcy Tucker were great. We're still friends to this day, and as you are with all your teammates, but you still keep in contact with more guys, and those guys, you're just kind of, you're brought in, you're on a team, as you would know, you just kind of fit right in. But when you're that much younger than everybody else, it's sometimes a little bit intimidating, but they made me feel really comfortable. And Matt Sundin was the captain. He was great. Ty Domi was great to me. So I feel very fortunate that I had all those guys, and they all just kind of took me under their wing, and I was the baby on the team, they would call me, because I was that much younger than everybody. But I learned so much just from watching guys, not just talking, but I would sit in my stall and just kind of scan the room and see how guys go about their business, and that's information that I was able to keep and use for the rest of my career, in life and in my hockey career.
Matty, shoot me straight here. You had so many good players on that team. I mean, it doesn't matter, Belfour, Cujo, Sundin, Domi, Tucker. What was the Leafs' issue back then? Why couldn't you guys get over the hump? What was it that, from your perspective of why, the Leafs weren't able to, win a cup or go to a cup?
Yeah, I wish I knew. We traded for Brian Leach, too, and he came in and played incredible. Ron Francis came in. He was in his 40s at that time, so we had such a good team. But, guys were a lot older. There were a lot of injuries. Owen Nolan had gotten hurt right before playoffs. You never want to use injuries as excuses. We had a lot of depth, but honestly, we lost to Philly in the second round that year, and we just we lost in overtime in Game 6. But it was playoff hockey. It's the littlest things can make a difference, and a bounce here, a bounce there. But we had the experience. It's hard to say. You'd love to know exactly what it was, but just some teams, get those bounces and have something special going on. And that year, Philly had our number, and then Tampa ended up winning the cup. So, I don't know what the reason was, and saying because you got the goaltending, but it's unfortunate. It would have been nice to be a part of something like that, especially in the city of Toronto.
I think that series against Philly was the one where Robert Esch stood on his head, wasn't it?
No, it was a series that I think that was the year before.
Okay.
Being the Leafs. So the year before I was a Black Ace, and the Leafs lost the first round, and then the next year as a part of the team. I didn't play any of the games in the second round. Said I wasn't strong enough to play against Philly, so I played a bit against Ottawa in the first round. Sundin actually got hurt as well. So we lost Sundin to a leg injury in the first round, and he came back mid-second round. So the easy answer is we had injuries. That's why we didn't win. But every team has injuries, so you can't say that. But it was the series that when Darcy Tucker hammered Kapanen, remember, and he kind of wobbled to his bench. What people don't know about that is 10 seconds later, Kapanen changed. Roenick jumped on. He's the one that scored the overtime winner. It was the same play from that hit. So that's that puts a dagger in us that series.
Just that adrenaline kind of messes with your brain. You forget what's going on. That happens. What was it like for you, like being a hometown kid in Toronto and dealing with the media? Obviously, in the those years, like Sportsnet, TSN, those places were really starting to ramp up with some of that TV coverage. Like sports media in Toronto was really the heart of it for Canada.
Yeah, and Leafs TV was starting up. It was. You're Toronto Maple Leafs. That's what happened, and I think being thrown into that at a young age really helps me grow quickly. You have to become a pro as fast as you can in the Toronto market. You can't let things get to you. You have to learn to deal with things like that, and that's kind of how I went about my business. And I was able to kind of mature quickly because I was forced to. Otherwise, you're not going to survive in the Toronto market.
Let's talk about the trade to Calgary. You were having a career year in Toronto, Matt. And, I mean, obviously, they felt Phaneuf was the right addition for the team. You go to Calgary. What was your first thoughts when you're like, I have to go to Calgary, Alberta? Were you familiar with the city at all? Or were you kind of like, oh, my goodness, I'm going from my childhood dream to, Alberta where it's very cold?
Yeah, obviously Calgary from living in Canada and coming out to the road games, and who Jerome McGinley is, and but I didn't really know much about the city, so it was kind of for sure bittersweet at the time because I was a Toronto guy and grew up there and was a Leaf fan growing up, and loved being a Leaf. So it was a tough transition at the start for sure. And talking to Brian Burke, after it all went down years later, because he was in Calgary with me. That's the way the business goes, and I think now we live in Calgary because this is home. Our kids were born here. We love it here, and I loved my time in Calgary. It was not the best start for myself. It was a tough transition for sure for the first little bit, but you deal with that adversity and push through, and it ended up being a great second half to my career where I enjoyed it and really became a part of the team in a big way, and not just on the ice but off the ice. And I'm very fortunate for the two cities I played in.
Yeah, you're fortunate enough to only play, two NHL teams, which is crazy. But I got you to, I need you to put one ahead of the other, though. What was the better rink? Like, is the Saddle Dome when it's rocking, like, say, 2015 playoff run? Or was it Toronto in their heydays? What rink was better to play in?
They're both.
I need an answer.
Okay, I would say, from my experience, for sure, the Sea of Red, 2015, just because you have the Red Mile, and I was obviously more involved with the outcome of beating Vancouver. And I think Maple Leaf Square now being built up. I think when the Leafs win a series here soon, hopefully, we're going to see a special atmosphere as well. So it is hard to pick, but from my own experience, definitely the Saddle Dome was rocking and loud, as loud as any rink I ever heard. So I'll have to pick the Saddle Dome for that.
I love it. So much character in that rink, too. Okay, I'm scrolling through Twitter the other day, Sage, and I got, like, that shootout goal comes up. Battle of Alberta. I believe it was that Swedish kid in net for Edmonton. Was it Fast, whatever. And you go to your backhand and you shelf it on him. Like, that was a shootout goal, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, come on, like, you're not known as some Ovechkin Crosby goal scorer, but where did that come from?
Yeah, the funny thing is, you practice things in practice for your career, and I had two penalty shots in my career, so that was one of them. And the other one was on Nikolai Hadavulin when I was with the Leafs. And both penalty shots, I tried the same move. I went to my backhand and I tried to go shelf. Hadavulin stopped me on it. That was at the ACC. And then on this one, I was able to score in Edmonton. So I did have some shootout opportunities, and I scored a few shootout goals. But penalty shots, that was one of two. And both times I went to the backhand move. It's basically you're all in, and you hope the goalie has no clue that you're going to pull that out, which I don't think they would think I would pull that out if they'd watched me play. So, it was great to see that one going. It was a special moment for me and my family, and it's nice to have that one.
Hey, that's a pretty slick move. That doesn't look bad on the TSN Top 10 either. What was it like, though, playing in the Battle of Alberta? I mean, growing up in Ontario, I can imagine you probably didn't watch too much Calgary and Edmonton, maybe even more so, because in, the 90s, the Oilers and Flames weren't exactly these wagons or powerhouse teams. But what was it like for you, seeing that true Calgary-Edmonton hatred?
Yeah, it was great. And I did get to know it, obviously. The second game of the doubleheader, always growing up, and even when I was on the Leafs, was always a big deal when it was the Battle of Alberta. So, you live and play with the Leaf rivalries with Montreal and Ottawa, and then you come to Alberta and you see that rivalry, and it's special. There's hatred there, and it comes just from the history of the teams, the two cities. Have that rivalry naturally. And when you get on the ice, no matter where the teams are on the standings, you feel that hatred just from the emotions of the cities and the fans, on game day. So it was so fun playing in those games. Those are the regular season games that definitely you remember, those rivalry games. So I was very happy and excited to be a part of that in Alberta, as I was with the Leafs and Habs and the Leafs and the Ottawa rivalries we had as well.
Now, I know you weren't one to really drop the gloves, but I mean, we're talking about a tough Battle of Alberta. Who was your first NHL fight? I know you weren't one to scrap every game or anything, but who'd you tally with first?
I fought Ruslan Saleh when I was in Toronto. He had hit me late one game, the previous game, and then we fought. He he took me down pretty easily, and I'm thankful for that. But he, obviously we know his story, very sad for all the people that were involved with that plane crash. But that was my first fight. I ended up with 4 or 5, I think, fights through my career. So I think it wasn't obviously part of my game, but if it happens, it happens. You have to show up. So I think I seem to get a lot of fights in Vancouver. I had fought Lapierre in Vancouver, and then I fought Brad Richardson in playoffs in a line brawl there. So you just kind of it's kind of out of the game now. But when you're in the game, and you see the fire of players and things like that happen, the emotions get high, and I think it's a big part of hockey, and always should be.
Wait, were you a part of that Flames Canucks line brawl where Torts went crazy?
I wasn't on the ice for that. I was in the game. I was right in the hallway when Torts came barging down.
What was that like?
Oh, it was crazy. Just Torts coming down, guys are holding back, and then BX would stick its head out of their dock room, which was kind of attached to our hallway, and he would start chirping on the other end. It was a crazy situation. It was fun. It was at the time you're kind of in the moment and like what's going on, but you're kind of fired up. That was a great memory for sure. Just how that all played out. And then the other line brawl was the playoffs when Derek Engelland was fighting 2 guys at the same time, and I don't know if you remember that one, but
oh yeah,
end of game 2. So yeah, I was kind of pinned on the ground. Me and Brad Richardson were at. I actually know him a little bit from Belleville, but so that was the other one when the refs decided to take 2 of our guys out, and we were 3-on-5 in a line brawl in the one end at the end of game 2. But that set the tone for that series. Game 1 and game 2 were kind of mediocre games with intensity, and after that line brawl, that series definitely ramped up. Turned out to be a great one for us.
Okay, I got to play with Fur Daddy a bit and Brandon. What was he like in that series, though? Because he was a wrecking ball at times in those playoffs.
Oh, Furley was great. He was coming in as a young kid. He was on our team up and down a bit during that year. And Lance Moma, unfortunately, got an injury late in the season. He broke his hand. So me and David Jones, we were a checking line going into the playoffs. We played against the other team's top line most of the year, and so that series we were against the Sedins when we had the matchups that we wanted. So on home ice we were always against Sedins, and Furley came in and we were like, he had a ton of energy. Obviously we saw what he did, but I remember him just sitting on the bench, and me and Jonesy just kept it loose with them and said, go do your thing. And those 2 guys would be first on the forecheck, and by game 3 Vancouver was definitely looking over their shoulders every time we dumped the puck in, and me as a centerman, I was like, Furley, you go do your thing, I'll be the responsible one here, and it just kind of worked for our line. You kind of create that chemistry, and everybody has their own little job on the line, and as a centerman you kind of make sure that it's working that way. It's your responsibility, and when you can let Furlan be free like that and being as effective as he was, it was just great to watch. And it's kind of unfortunate because he got hurt game 1 against Anaheim, so that really, we already had Giordano down, and we were a depleted lineup to begin with probably not a lot of depth when you look on paper, but I feel like if we had him, we maybe could have put up a little bit of a better fight if he was as healthy and going the way he was in round 1 for sure.
Oh man, he's a fridge out there. If he gets a hold of you, I can't imagine, especially when he's going top speed. That's pretty crazy.
It was very similar to, it reminded me of when I played for Team Canada World Juniors. Jordan Tutu's on the team. It was the same thing. Like the whole crowd would just get energized when Tutu would go on the forecheck. You would just hear it, and the other team would kind of like peel back, and you would just, it would be bone crushing hit. And then it was the same thing with Furland in the playoffs. It was kind of, obviously it was 15 years later or 12 years later, but it was that same sort of feeling. And I was on both their lines in both situations. So I thought it was, it was great energy for our teams.
Maddie, so I want to kind of skip along to the end of your career, kind of. I believe it was 2018. With the Flames, you kind of realizing, hey, after 15 seasons in the NHL, it's going to have to come to an end at one point. And you decided to play one more year, and you end up going overseas, over to Germany. You play with Munich. I mean, awesome place. Let's be real. That city is incredible. There's really nothing like it in North America. But I mean, was Europe always a plan for you? What was it kind of? You were just like, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not best. I don't have another NHL deal for the upcoming year. I don't want to take a PTO. Let's go enjoy Europe for a year. What kind of made that decision for you?
Yeah, it's just something me and my wife talked about throughout our journey through the NHL. We were very fortunate playing just two places. But as it came to an end and I wasn't able to lock in another NHL deal, you just talk about things, and PTOs were there, and maybe could have done that, but the percentage, and when you look at it, it's really tough for guys to make a team in today's game. Coming off a PTO, you almost got to hope for an injury, and that's just kind of the reality of it. So we just sat down and said, you know what, let's make this decision. It's been an incredible run. I was fortunate enough to make my 1,000th game. I wish I won a Stanley Cup. That's the only thing that that I really wish for, as anybody would. So we sat down and said, let's be realistic here, and let's do this as a family and see what's overseas for us, just for the opportunity, the experience we can have as a family. So we took everything into consideration. We had a lot of options as to where we wanted to play, and we thought Germany was the best fit. Beautiful city like Munich, and a big key factor. Obviously, we knew a few guys on the Munich team, the Red Bull team there, but there's 10 imports on the teams in Germany, which means there was a lot more North American, Canadian guys on the team. So it was an easier transition than if you were to go to Sweden or Switzerland, where there's only 2 or 3 imports, and you're one of only a few guys coming in from Canada. So that was a big part of it. And then just experienced, the style of play there, the stands there. It's a very soccer type atmosphere in the arenas with chanting, and when you're on the power play at a home game, they're chanting the whole time. When you're on the road and you're on the power play, they're whistling and booing the whole power play. It was really cool to experience that. I loved every minute of it, and it was just the perfect way for us to to close out a career that I could only have dreamed of as a kid, and I was very fortunate to have.
Okay, you also, when you were over there, you got to play on a Red Bull team, so you played in the Champions Hockey League as well. I've heard so many different stories, but from players, how hard is it? Like, how much do you respect some of those guys where, like, if you're going over to Sweden, their style of play is so different. Like, how tough is that as a player? Because I've just heard from everyone who's done it, like, it's crazy. Like, it doesn't matter if you're playing against a Czech team, a Swiss team, a Swedish team. Like, everyone's got a different style, and it's just tough to play.
Yeah, it is. It's an adjustment, and the German league you're on the Olympic ice. It's still, I'd say it's different than for sure, the NHL and North American style, but it's probably the closest to the North American style. But everything's always changing, and people are following trends even over there. So it's hard to say year by year, but the leagues over there are so close. Like the top teams, like we ended up making to the finals of the CHL, the Champions League tournament. So we beat teams in Switzerland. We beat Swedish teams. So we got to see all the different styles. But the hockey over there has come such a long way. I would say, to put it in comparison, if the top teams all in each league played in the league with the top AHL teams, I would say the European teams would be better. I think they're better leagues than the AHL. The top end talent's probably better in the AHL because the guys are right next to the NHL, and some are going to have great NHL careers. But the European leagues, the German leagues come a long way, and the Swiss leagues, obviously we hear about. They're very talented, and probably second, third, fourth best leagues in the world for sure.
Well, if you look at Germany, I mean, they had that Moritz Seider who went top 10, top 5. you got Stutzla, Reichel, all those kids coming from Germany now that, and I truly believe they are getting better in that playing in Germany because of all the imports that go over there, right? I really think that kind of ups their level. How bad were the refs, though? I mean, I've heard the stories, Matty. Be straight. Like, how bad were the refs some nights?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest difference, the biggest adjustment to the reffing. For sure, the NHL has the best refs in the world. They're like, when you go over there, you really learn to appreciate it. So the reffing there is definitely needs some work, but it's hard to get good refs. Like, who really wants to be a ref at the end of the day? So I'd say that was the biggest drop off. But at the end of the day, it adds excitement, right? if you put a positive spin on it, you never know what you're going to get.
That's fair. Okay, I got two more for you. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'll make this next one quick, though. Like, NHL, you're looking at it, you only played for two teams. Was there one team who you do deep down you kind of wish you played for, even if just for a season?
No, I'm very happy with it. Like, I grew up a Leaf fan, and then, I always loved the Canadian team, so I got to play my whole career in Canada. That's our sport. Hockey's Canada's sport, and I got to always be in a market that adored the game and loved the game. It was, what we're all about. So I wouldn't change anything. Obviously, in a perfect world, I wish I could go on a Stanley Cup run with one of the teams, but we haven't seen a Canadian team do that for a while. So hopefully that happens soon. So I wouldn't change anything. Obviously it'd be cool to play for different cities, but I got to play for Toronto and Calgary. So those are, I don't think, if you're asking guys who didn't play for those teams, I bet you Toronto would probably be on most guys' list. Yeah, it'd probably be cool to experience playing for the Leafs, and I got to do that for, close to 7 years.
100%. I mean, I've been banking interviews for the past week, and I would say probably 3 or 4 out of the 7 have all said like either Calgary or Toronto. So that's funny enough that you got to grind it out on those two teams alone. Okay, you also played with so many characters. I mean, from some of those Leafs teams to Flames teams, international hockey, you got to have one funny story that sticks out that you're just kind of like, man, that's playing in the NHL. That's the lifestyle.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot here. So many great stories. Let me think here. With the plane rides that you have with the guys, just the bonds you create are just, you can't recreate that. But I think just the pranks that guys playing each other, it's never ending.
Who was the best prankster?
Oh, there's a lot of guys. Brian McGrath was a good one. Darcy Tucker and Brian McCabe were, Brian McCabe would always, obviously he's hilarious, but anytime you had stitches in your face or a black eye, he'd come up to you the next day and just push his thumb right on it and be like, how's that feel? There's nothing you can do. You're just like, you're not expecting someone to do that. But there's just so many funny things. I'm trying to think of a funny story that kind of,
Who pranked you? Who pranked you when you were a rookie? Who got you and what did they do?
I can't even remember. Guys, there's just so much chirping going on with what you're wearing, and every day you're kind of like on it, especially as a young guy, right? Because you're a target. It's just natural. So you get it given to you. But there'd be guys would hide in hotel rooms. Like I remember being in LA and we were at a haunted hotel there. I think the Britmore, it's called Biltmore, and I remember guys sneaking into guys' hotel rooms and hiding without them knowing, and they'd come back from dinner and start shaking things. I think Ed Belfour got it the one year I was in Toronto. I remember guys were planning it for like 3 days. They went and hid in the dresser under the bed, and they just scared the crap out of them because it was a haunted hotel, as the story goes. So just things like that. It's just like, it's never ending. But I could go on and on. If you gave me some time, and I could have probably put down about 30 stories of things that happened. But I guess I could tell you one, a funny one that people would know about is, do you remember when Glenn Gulson threw a stick in the crowd?
Yeah.
He kind of went off on our team.
Yeah.
So 2 days later we had practice. We ended up winning the next game. And we had practice, so we dressed up Johnny Gaudreau's buddy who was in town in full equipment, and put him like around the seat where that stick landed, and taped the big X across that area. And he sat there the whole practice, and people just like, I don't know if anybody even knew about that, but it was just kind of like we were laughing the whole practice because Gully like kind of didn't know us at first. And there was just a guy sitting in that seat where the stick landed with a big X across the crowd, saying that this is the bullseye where the do not sit zone, because the sticks might be flying in during practice. So that was one where we got the coach, which you usually never get a coach, but it was a situation where we could because we won and things were light, and our team was started rolling after that.
Gully seems like a good guy. I believe he's a Sasky guy too, so there's some good connections there. Matt, buddy, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate the stories, and I appreciate you diving into everything.
Oh, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Matt Stajan right there, coming on World Hockey Report. Great stories. I knew we'd be able to dive into a couple there. Good thing you brought up that Bell 4-1. Maybe messing around with Glenn Gulletson a little bit. Just the good guys in the game. That's what we love. All those good stories, great memories. So really appreciate him sitting down for, well, geez, that's over 30 minutes right there. Always fun. Just being able to dive into some of those things, staging 1,000 games in the league. Like, come on. And it's only with 2 teams as well. Like, he wasn't jumping around. 2 teams, 1,000 games. Huge thanks to him. A couple of clutch playoff goals there, too. We tweeted them out. I mean, that one against Vancouver, against, I think Ryan Miller was in net, and then he beats Gar Snow when he's playing for the Leafs as a young gun. Funny enough, too, that, you know, he was so much younger than his Leafs teammates when Pat Quinn had him. I mean, 4 or 5 years younger. That was definitely a league of, you know, late 20s, 30-year-olds ruling it. Some tough Flyers teams they had to play against as well. It's awesome for him to dive into some of that stuff. Of course, everyone, please support those who support us. Coco Vodka, Coco Rum, the absolute best. MyBookie.ag. Use promo code 12OZSports. They're great. They're great as well. You know, get the best angles. Maybe we'll dive into it. I don't know if there's, you know, if someone's an expert handicapper for the World Juniors. I want to talk because I think I'll get Adam's take on this on Wednesday. But I think Rush is probably going to be your bang for your buck this year. I really... Not that Canada shouldn't be heavy favorites, but I think if there's one team that's going to win, Russia look good at the Carjala Cup. So I would not sleep on them at all. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't even checked the odds yet. I have to go on MyBookie later today. 12-ounce Sports Zingo TV, 2D Wraps, Tub Mass. I know they're doing great things for Joey Moss. Go check them out today. Support them. Verbero Hockey just dropped. Well, I don't know if they released it, but I know they got Blake Bolden hooked up with a great custom stick there. Looks sharp. They're doing innovative things. Andy Sutton and his crew. Glenn Metropolitan as well. Hey, he was on Spit and Chicklets. Good interview there as well. We'll get him on World Hockey Report. We'll talk hockey, Verbero, everything under the sun. One of these times, Wednesday, big show coming up right here. Same time, same place. We got Craig Button to break down some World Juniors in Canada's perspective. Then we got Chris Peters. This guy, arguably, not even arguably, probably the best World Junior NHL prospect writer in the game, especially out of the States. So yeah, Chris Peters, Craig Button, Adam Ermintrout coming up on Wednesday. Until then, huge thanks. And I know what I said we had a big interview with, you know, a 2-time Olympian gold medalist. That's going to be coming. We're going to get that one lined up. Her schedule just didn't work out right now. We're going to get it back. Telling you, we got some more great stuff lined up. World Junior Champions coming your way. The best NHL insiders, insight, prospect reports. That's all coming up. Don't sleep on it. It's World Hockey Report. Cody Jansen with you. Follow me on Twitter at Janner31. World Hockey Report's on Twitter at World Hockey RPT. Alrighty, let's get out of here. It was a good Monday show. It was a great Monday show, of course. A lot more to come. Be sure to catch Pete Power Plays. That one's Tuesday to Thursday. Pete's got all the angles. The cool show. Minor League Rando coming up again. Not again. I mean, they're just coming up tonight. Guarantee you. Tyler's got a great list of guests. Rando, well, we got the Coast back. I think that counts. I'm sure you'll be talking about some ECHL action. Until then, everyone, we're going to be back here on Wednesday, 11 o'clock Mountain Time, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern. Cody Jansen, Adam Ermintrout. For everyone, the entire crew, peace out. Be kind. Be better.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Hey guys, Glenn Metropolitan here with Rivero Hockey, NHL alumni, 22 years professional hockey. I'm here to talk about the Merc 350, the lightest stick on the market. I've been using it for a couple months now. So impressed by the balance, the weight of it. The blade is very stiff, great feel, low kick point on the shaft. Consistency is amazing. Comparing it to all my other sticks that I use in my pro career, this would be one that I'd be very confident with going into a game. Give it a shot if you get a chance. Take care.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.